Have you ever felt like you're constantly holding on to things or people that are weighing you down? It's a feeling many of us know too well, whether it's an unhealthy relationship, a past mistake, or even expectations that are impossible to meet. Here's the kicker. Most people think holding on is a sign of strength, but what if I told you that true personal freedom comes from letting go? Yeah, you heard me right. Detachment isn't about giving up. It's about gaining clarity and control over your emotional life. In fact, it's one of the most powerful tools for improving your mental well-being, and you don't need years of therapy to figure it out. Curious to know how emotional detachment could transform your life? Let's dive in, and I promise by the end of this, you'll see how letting go is your first step toward real freedom. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment can be a tough practice, especially when you're deeply invested in someone or something. But the truth is, it's vital for your mental well-being. Dr. Guy Winch, a leading psychologist, has highlighted how emotional pain can hit just like physical pain, activating the same neural pathways. Imagine your brain lighting up like it would if you touched a hot stove. That's what happens when you're hurt emotionally. So detaching from negative emotions isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about giving your mind the space it needs to heal. It's like a mental reset, one that allows you to think clearer and regain control over your emotional landscape. One way to practice emotional detachment is to start recognizing when you're holding on to something too tightly. For instance, have you ever found yourself ruminating on a breakup or an argument for days? That's your brain stuck in a feedback loop. To break it, try focusing on activities that engage your mind in other ways. Reading a book, going for a run, or even talking to a friend about something completely unrelated. It's about interrupting the cycle. And remember, the goal isn't to avoid emotions altogether, but to stop letting them control your entire day. Speaking of control, mindfulness meditation is another powerful tool that takes this concept to a whole new level. Mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is like giving your brain a timeout to observe what's going on without getting caught up in the drama. Dr. David Creswell, a neuroscientist, has found that this type of meditation helps you detach from negative emotions by teaching you to observe them from a distance. It's as if you're watching clouds pass by rather than being stuck in a storm. This simple shift in perspective can reduce stress and improve emotional regulation, giving you more control over how you react to challenging situations. When your brain gets better at noticing without reacting, it rewires itself to manage emotions with more grace. The beauty of mindfulness is that it's accessible to everyone anywhere. You don't need to meditate for hours, just start with 5 minutes a day. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Thoughts will pop up, but instead of latching onto them, gently guide your focus back to your breath. Over time, this practice helps create emotional distance, which is especially useful when you're feeling overwhelmed by a person or situation. And speaking of distance, physical space can sometimes be just as important for emotional clarity. Reframing thoughts. When it comes to mental resilience, the way you think about your problems can make all the difference. Dr. Martin Seligman, a pioneer in positive psychology, advocates for cognitive restructuring, which is essentially training your brain to replace negative thoughts with more empowering ones. Our brains are wired to focus on threats as a survival mechanism, but in modern life, this often leads to unnecessary stress. By intentionally reframing how you interpret a situation, you can shift from feeling defeated to feeling in control. It's like taking off a pair of foggy glasses and seeing the world clearly again. Let's take a common example. You've had a rough day at work, and the first thought that comes to mind might be, "I'm terrible at my job." Instead of letting that thought spiral, try rephrasing it. "Today was challenging, but I can learn from it and improve." This small change has a huge impact on your brain. Neuroscience shows that when you practice positive thinking, you activate the brain's reward systems, releasing feel-good chemicals like dopamine. Over time, this creates new neural pathways that make resilience and optimism your brain's default setting. And when you combine cognitive restructuring with practices like mindfulness and emotional detachment, you start building a toolkit for long-lasting mental well-being. Now that you've got the tools to detach emotionally, it's time to put them into practice. Imagine the kind of peace and clarity you could have if you stopped holding on to things that no longer serve you. What relationships or situations in your life are draining your energy right now? Are you ready to let go and start focusing on your own well-being? Remember, emotional detachment isn't about becoming numb. It's about creating space for personal growth and inner peace. So, are you ready to take control of your emotional landscape? If you're serious about making these changes, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because there's so much more we can explore together. Whether it's emotional detachment, mindfulness, or improving your mental health, we're in this journey for the long haul. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. What's one thing you're ready to detach from today? Let's talk about it. This is Good Brain,